Most men chase. They perform, flatter, and grovel, trapped in the false belief that desire can be earned like a transaction. They don't see it. The harder they try, the more invisible they become. But here's the hidden truth few ever realize. Desire is never begged for. It is commanded. It's subtle, it's psychological, and it operates far beyond charm, looks, or words. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone, dissecting human nature with a precision that still shocks the mind. If you want a woman to not just notice you, but to think about you constantly, feel drawn to you without knowing why, you must embody traits that ignite fascination, admiration, and an almost magnetic pull. These are not cheap tricks or surface-level confidence hacks. They are strategic, invisible forces that shape attraction at the deepest level. The moment you grasp them, everything changes. Her attention, her desire, even her perception of your value, it will shift, and she will be powerless to resist. Trait 1. Absolute self-ownership. The most magnetic trait a man can embody is absolute self-ownership. This is the quiet, commanding power of a man who cannot be controlled, manipulated, or bought. A man whose life is dictated by his rules, not the whims of others. This is not arrogance. It is mastery over your own mind, decisions, and time. Women are drawn to men who operate independently because such autonomy signals value, stability, and a sense of untouchable freedom. When a man refuses to be at her disposal, he creates natural scarcity, and scarcity is one of the most powerful triggers of fascination. Consider a simple scenario. A woman texts at the last minute, expecting him to drop his evening plans to accommodate her. Most men would comply, thinking this earns attention. He, however, politely declines, explaining that his time is already committed to his passions or goals. The reaction is telling. She doesn't feel anger or disappointment. She feels intrigue and subtle fascination. She recognizes that he exists on his own terms, not hers, and that his life is a landscape she cannot predict or control. That unpredictability, combined with independence, is profoundly magnetic. Psychologically, women are wired to notice autonomy. A man who fully owns himself radiates an invisible aura of security and high value. Obsession begins not when he tries to impress, but when she realizes that he is rare, untouchable, yet present in her world. That realization triggers a deep subconscious attraction that mere words, charm, or attention could never create. This is why absolute self-ownership is the foundation of fascination. It sets the stage for all other traits to amplify desire and create a woman's near irresistible pull toward him. Trait 2. Controlled mystery. The second trait that sparks obsession is controlled mystery. The subtle art of revealing yourself in precise, carefully measured doses. Most men make the fatal mistake of oversharing, unloading facts, feelings, and life stories all at once, believing transparency equals connection. The truth, as Machiavelli understood, is the opposite. Mystery is a weapon. When you never fully reveal yourself, when you leave parts of your world hidden, you ignite curiosity, intrigue, and mental engagement. Women are naturally drawn to the unknown. The mind craves patterns and explanations, and when it cannot find them, it works overtime to fill in the blanks. Picture this. A man meets a woman at a social event. Instead of recounting every detail of his life, he casually mentions a high-stakes project he's involved in, then pauses, letting silence do the work. She asks questions, he answers briefly, never giving the full story. Suddenly, her mind is active. She imagines him, interprets his actions, and unconsciously becomes invested in uncovering more. The incomplete picture draws her attention and holds it because her brain instinctively wants closure. Psychologically, this works because the human mind is wired to resolve uncertainty. When a man is partially known, he becomes a puzzle she cannot stop thinking about, a mental challenge she wants to solve. Curiosity evolves into preoccupation, intrigue becomes desire, and obsession takes root. Controlled mystery is not manipulation. It is the deliberate crafting of an aura that makes a man endlessly fascinating, compelling a woman to engage, wonder, and invest mentally in him long before words or actions demand it. Trait 3. Strategic presence. The third trait is strategic presence, a quality far deeper than mere confidence. True presence is the ability to command attention without ever demanding it, to make your existence felt the moment you enter a space, yet remain unshakably calm and deliberate. Most men mistake noise, humor, or flashy displays for presence. They chase attention, hoping to earn notice. Machiavelli understood that power and attraction flow to those who do not compete. They do not need to prove themselves because attention naturally seeks them. Strategic presence is silent, intentional, and dominant. It's an aura that signals high value without a single boast. Picture this. A man walks into a crowded party. He doesn't rush to talk to anyone. He smiles subtly, observes carefully, and engages selectively. He moves with purpose, with quiet authority, and women notice. Their eyes follow him, curiosity stirs, and his energy draws attention effortlessly. Later, one might confess, almost involuntarily, "There's something about him. I can't stop thinking about him." That is presence at work, not performing, not begging for validation, but simply existing as a man whose energy commands the room. Psychologically, strategic presence triggers deep attraction because it signals value, control, and rarity. Women's brains are wired to detect high-status, confident men who operate from a place of calm authority. Dopamine spikes, curiosity intensifies, and obsession loops begin. Attention becomes fixation. Unlike charm or flattery, presence cannot be faked. It emanates from internal mastery, from a man who is comfortable in his own power and whose very being naturally magnetizes those around him. Trait 4. Unshakable, calm, and control. The fourth trait is unshakable, calm, and control. The kind of emotional mastery that instantly distinguishes a man from the crowd. Obsessive desire is not triggered by drama or chaos. It is fueled by emotional predictability combined with stability. Women are drawn to men who remain calm in the midst of tension, who are unbothered by games, and who navigate pressure with quiet authority. Most men unknowingly repel attention with volatility, overreactions, or emotional outbursts. True Machiavellian attraction lies in the ability to be a stable force in a world that constantly demands reactivity. Consider this scenario. During a disagreement, a woman attempts to provoke him, fishing for an emotional reaction. Instead of reacting impulsively, he remains composed, listens carefully, and responds strategically. She feels a complex mix of frustration, intrigue, and admiration. His calm isn't boring, it's magnetic. She senses that he is operating on a level of mastery that few men possess, untouchable in his emotional world. That very mastery becomes intoxicating, sparking fascination and a desire to engage with him further. Psychologically, calm control signals strength, security, and independence. Women are wired to detect men who can weather emotional storms without losing themselves. This rarity triggers subconscious attraction and admiration. When a man exhibits this level of composure consistently, obsession takes root, not from charm or effort, but from the silent power of self-mastery, the kind that makes her feel simultaneously challenged and safe, intrigued, yet drawn inescapably. Trait 5. Purpose beyond desire. The fifth and most magnetic trait is living a life of purpose that transcends any one woman. The men who ignite obsession are not defined by their relationships or by the attention they receive. They are defined by their missions, goals, and relentless pursuit of mastery. A man fully absorbed in his own vision does not revolve around a woman, yet she instinctively gravitates toward him. Purpose creates scarcity, value, and an almost invisible gravitational pull, because she senses that his world is larger than her influence alone. This is the ultimate attraction, a life so compelling that she cannot help but be drawn in. Imagine a man dedicating himself to building a business, mastering a skill, or creating a work of art. He shares glimpses of his vision, tantalizing insights into a life he is actively crafting, but he never allows his ambitions to be overshadowed by attention-seeking. He is unavailable in the most magnetic way, yet invaluable in her mind. Women are naturally drawn to him, not because he bends for them, but because his life carries weight, purpose, and direction. This subtle pull sparks curiosity, admiration, and subconscious fascination that borders on obsession. Psychologically, purpose activates dopamine-driven admiration loops. She watches, she wants, she obsesses, not because she can control him, but because his life itself is a source of fascination. The more fully a man embodies purpose, the less he chases external validation, and the more he becomes the kind of figure women cannot stop thinking about. Purpose is the invisible framework that holds all other traits together, making self-ownership, mystery, presence, and calm not just attractive, but inescapably compelling. These 5 traits, absolute self-ownership, controlled mystery, strategic presence, unshakable calm, and purposeful living, are not superficial tactics or clever tricks. They are deep psychological triggers that naturally generate fascination and ultimately obsession. The common thread running through them all is rarity and autonomy. A man who cannot be fully known, manipulated, or possessed becomes a puzzle that women cannot stop thinking about. His independence is magnetic, his scarcity intoxicating. The power lies in subtlety. You do not demand attention, perform for admiration, or beg for approval. Instead, you command attention effortlessly through your actions, your presence, and the undeniable value of your life. Desire is not something you chase. It is something you engineer strategically, almost invisibly, by embodying qualities that are rare, compelling, and irresistible. The Machiavellian edge comes from consistent application. Observe the dynamics around you, adapt where necessary, but never compromise these core traits. When you live them fully, attraction does not just exist, it escalates. Curiosity turns into intrigue, intrigue into admiration, and admiration into obsession. You become not just a man she notices, but a man she cannot stop thinking about, a force in her mind that lingers long after every interaction. Master these traits, and you step into a realm of power, influence, and desire few men ever understand, an invisible yet undeniable dominance over attention and attraction.